Hello everyone and welcome in. Today is Thursday, May 2nd, and we'll be taking a look at what all energies and messages want to come in for you from God, Spirit, the Divine. Today we do have Pluto going into retrograde, so that will be happening and it'll stay there until like October. So later this year, remember Pluto is the great destroyer and it's about destruction and rebirth. And so during this retrograde, it's really about kind of going within and seeing what all toxic or negative connections need to be released and what needs to go for your highest growth. And that's something, a lot of the planets kind of push you to do that deep introspection. So with this retrograde, things are kind of slowing down a little bit and giving you a chance to catch your breath, but still having that sense of what is it that I need to look at? What do I need to do to dive deeper and see where some of these maybe toxic or negative attachment points are in my life and what do I need to do about them. So we'll look a little bit deeper at each of the sign groupings and see if there's any additional messages that are coming through for you during the retrograde. But let's take a look at the collective energy. We have Queen of Pentacles in reverse, we have Nine of Pentacles in reverse, and we have King of Wands. So let's see, with our Queen of Pentacles in reverse and then our Nine of Pentacles in reverse, so some struggles around like abundance. So there's this kind of greedy, selfish type of energy that's coming in from our Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And then this Nine of Pentacles in reverse is this like overbearing, like kind of spending type of energy, like you're having some financial struggles. So it's almost like if there's a situation either with you or somebody in your circle that's being a little bit more greedy and not being very responsible, it could be putting some strain financially on you. And then we have our King of Wands, and this is that energy of meeting challenges and kind of that loyal leadership type of energy that's coming in. So that could be coming in to try to balance this overspending. But let's take a look at each of our sign groupings individually and see what clarifying messages we have there. So let's start today with our earth signs. That is going to be our Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Let's see what messages want to come through for you. All right, the moon. So there's, this is that energy of having some lies, trickery, deceit, that things aren't all that they seem. And let's get some clarification. What do our earth signs need to know about whatever this moon situation is? The Six of Swords in reverse, and that is going to be about resisting positive change, like you're clinging to the past. So this lie, this illusion, or this trickery is something about your past. Like you have this idea that is sticking in your mind about your past and it's keeping you from moving on. And whether that's somebody else that's feeding you that lie or whether you're feeding yourself that lie that I can't move on because of this, or I can't make this positive change in my life because of all this other baggage back here that's holding me back. So that's really what the illusion is. And as it comes to this like overspending and selfish kind of greedy energy, some of it comes in because remember, this doesn't necessarily have to be financial. So your pentacles can be your time, your energy, your money. So it's like it's almost this dichotomy of you're not responsible, you're not being responsible with how you're spending your time, your money, your energy. So like you're dumping it into some past situation because you don't want to move on from it. But at the same time, then you're also being greedy about it. So there is this energy, though, of the King of Wands that's sitting there with that kind of leadership type of energy and trying to meet the challenge. But it's almost like I'm going to continue to try to meet this challenge rather than letting it go. So actually, I'm going to pull. I decided at the last second I'm going to do something a little different. Here we go. With the in terms of, since we do have Pluto retrograde and it's about cutting past connections that are toxic or heavy or weighing you down. Let's see, what do our earth signs need to be taking a closer look at during Pluto retrograde? Let's pull two. The Lovers and your Knight of Cups in reverse. So really looking at your love life, at your romantic partnerships. This is what, what needs to be let go of during this Pluto retrograde. If you're in a cycle, in a toxic cycle, and negative attachments with a romantic partner, that's what you're being pushed to let go of. Your Knight of Cups in reverse is going to be this like bad moods and disappointment. And so if you're in a romantic partnership with somebody that is regularly putting you in this energy of bad mood and disappointments, and there's just this air of like lies and things like that that are going on in that partnership, that's what you need to be letting go of during this retrograde. So let's pull a couple more oracle cards and see what other messages are coming through. Meditate and contemplate. So this is always a good reminder that will help you as you're trying to find that balance point and figure out how do I do this? Because it's easier said than done, right? Like if that is a toxic connection that needs to be let go, it's easier said than done. So really take the time to think about, okay, how do I go about doing this? How do I, in a high vibe, what do they call that? Conscious uncoupling, as opposed to, burn everything to the ground on your way out type of thing. Say no to people and things that stress you out. So this is also very important during retrograde. Don't allow yourself to stay in negative patterns just because you're used to having to say yes to a person or a situation. All right, and then with this one, I hope you can forgive me. So this is that message, and even as it relates to, I'll call it this conscious uncoupling, I hope you can forgive me. Sometimes people stay in bad or toxic situations because they want the other person to see their side. They don't want them to hate them. Like they don't still want to be together, but it's kind of like, but I don't want you to hate me. I need you to forgive me and understand. And then we can proceed with things. So there is a little bit of that energy of, are things sticking around because it's like they need to end, but the other person doesn't want them to end on a bad note. So there's kind of some of that coming through as well, that, if this is that toxic situation that you need to let go of, forgiving doesn't mean necessarily staying in that same situation. It just means, let's go our separate ways with a more of a calm type of state. So that's the message that is coming through for our earth signs in terms of what you need to look at for Pluto retrograde, and what the energy is that's coming in today in general. So now let's move on to our water signs, and that is going to be Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and see what wants to come through. We have Temperance in reverse, and this is about things kind of being out of balance, and the push is going to be to bring them into balance. Let's pull a clarifying card on that. All right, those were the ones that jumped. So we have the Five of Cups, which is about that feeling of loss. Then we have our Six of Wands in reverse, which is about disappointments and kind of like a sense of disgrace. So there's been kind of this like back and forth type of energy, with this greediness and overspending. It seems like things have been out of balance, and the out of balance feeling has created a sense of loss. It's also created this sense of disappointment, and it is overall leading you to feeling imbalanced. So I did this for our earth signs as well. What is it that our water signs need to focus on going into this Pluto retrograde period? So I'll pull two cards here for this. Ace of Wands in reverse, and then Queen of Swords in reverse. Queen of Swords in reverse it's cutting through the nonsense, but it's like in this bitter, I'll call it kind of cold way. And then with our Ace of Wands in reverse, this is that feeling of like lack of creativity, like you've missed some different opportunities and chances. And so in terms of what needs to be let go when during Pluto retrograde, when we're talking about what are some of these toxic or negative attachments, letting go of, okay, if you missed an opportunity, don't dwell on it, just be aware of it so that if a similar opportunity presents itself, you're looking for signs that that opportunity is coming so that you can make different choices. And also what you need to be letting go of with our Queen of Swords in reverse is letting go of some of this like criticism and just this kind of nasty, sort of cruel type of energy. And some of it may not be that you're speaking it, but is that the thought pattern that runs through your head? So you need to be able to stop some of those thought patterns in your head, because whether it's spoken out loud, speaking it out loud affects other people, but what you're sending out into the universe is based on what are these thought patterns that are running through your head too. All right. So the flip cards here, a new start is coming. Be bold and make the first move. So you do have kind of the sense of a fresh start here. And that can be if you're able to find that balance within your current situation, or, you may be at a point of saying, you know what, it's just time to clean slate it and, try something new. All right. This is your sign from the universe. If you've been waiting and kind of like on the fence, as it relates to a relationship, as it relates to a job, should I leave? And you're like, I need a sign from the universe. This is your sign. A new start is coming. So that kind of gives it gives the feel of you're done with the old situation and you're moving forward in a different direction. All right. And we'll pull one of these. I'm working on my healing. So if this is related to another person, if you've been having these like power struggles or issues there, I'm working on my healing, they may not be able to give you their full attention right now because they're still working on healing themselves so that they can show up in a better vibration, in a better state. All right, let's look at our air signs. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Let's see what wants to come through for you for your energy today. We have Temperance in reverse for you as well. So this is what came up. This is what came up for our water signs. So it's that need to bring balance. Like things are out of balance, things are out of whack right now, and you need to bring balance. So I'll pull a couple of clarifying cards. Knight of Swords, just go for it. And your Ace of Cups, which is going to be your creativity and your love and your inspiration and kind of like new opportunities there. So it's how do you bring that balance? You go for it. So the energy here of overspending, but also being kind of greedy. It's a little bit of a mismatch, but overspending of your time and energy. Do you keep trying to dump more time and energy, trying to bring balance into a situation? And maybe part of it is also a matter of the balance point being to pull back some of your energy. So that's something to consider as well. And kind of this, you got to do something because what you have been doing hasn't been working. So trying something a little bit new. All right, let's see. What do our air signs need to be letting go of during Pluto retrograde? We've got our Ace of Pentacles and Judgment in reverse. So in terms of Ace of Pentacles, that is about this prosperity and new starts. And then Judgment in reverse is like failing to learn from the past. And if you keep ignoring the past and what those lessons are, you're going to keep looping. So that's what you're being told to work on in terms of letting go during this Pluto retrograde, is let go of this pattern of holding so tight onto something, and let it flow the way it needs to so that you can learn that lesson. Like let the lesson come through and then you'll get that new start. The card that flipped was the answers you need are coming, which is full moon in Gemini. And then you and your loved ones are safe. New moon in Cancer. And this is that whole thing of, if you knew that everybody would be fine, what would you do? If you weren't worried about, oh, I can't do this because, you know, what would happen to my family? What would happen to my kids? What would happen to, you know, my partner? Whatever. If you knew everybody would be fine, what would you do? What choices would you make? All right. And here we have, don't confuse chemistry with compatibility. And this can be, you know, for some of you, if you're in this relationship, a relationship where you're giving and giving and giving, but it's still out of balance, is it because you're confusing a physical connection with a long-term stable partnership? And not everybody that you have good chemistry with is going to be a long-term stable partner. So make sure that you're not confusing chemistry with compatibility. Then there's the, I dream about our future together. So it looks like this other person, they do want a future with you. So let's pull one more out of that deck, since we did have the don't confuse chemistry with compatibility. Those are a little bit maybe opposite each other. And then I want more freedom. So, you know, it looks like there's a person, whatever this balance is, it looks like there's a person that's a little bit all over the board. You know, that they want a future, but they also want freedom. And, you know, you have really good chemistry, but it's like within them, there's kind of this sense of, I don't really know. And so that can be part of your message in terms of what you need to let go of during retrograde season with this Judgment in reverse card, since that's about clinging to the past and like kind of failing to learn those lessons. It could be that part of your lesson is, you know, they don't know what they want. So that doesn't mean just keep pouring yourself in more and more and more and more. You know, you want to have a balanced relationship. So this Knight of Swords energy and this Ace of Cups, with your Ace of Cups of like creativity and love and just wanting to have that inspiration, you know, go all in, like pour your heart into something that you're passionate about. So this, you and your loved ones are safe. Try something new, try something different, and step back from the energetic attachment that is with this relationship, because it seems like the other person is maybe a little bit unsure about what it is that they want. So it could be that time during Pluto retrograde of kind of needing to step back a little bit and focus on you and what is it that you need to be happy in your life, and then adjust from there. All right, last but not least, we have our fire signs. What do our fire signs need to know for today and for our retrograde? So that's going to be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Temperance in reverse. I don't know if this is how I'm shuffling it, so I'm going to pull another card because that's the third one that came up like that. And then Judgment in reverse. So this Temperance in reverse, like I said, I don't know if it's the way I was shuffling, because 3 of the 4 groups came up with that. And then also in our air signs, Judgment in reverse came up from the dog deck in terms of what they needed for Pluto retrograde. So fire signs, you could also be dealing with an air sign, since those were coming together. But this Temperance is about how you bring balance into your life. How do you bring some of that stability, because there is this energy, this overspending of your resources, your time, your money, your energy. But then there's also a sense of greediness, of like not sharing it. So it's like you're sharing it in one area, but not in other areas, and your life is still out of balance. So the Judgment in reverse is about failing to learn those lessons. Like you're clinging to the past and you're failing to learn the lessons. So you will just keep looping through this lesson. Because remember, if you're looking at it that this is your class and you're getting ready to take the final exam, Judgment in reverse is about not passing the final exam. It's about you haven't learned what you need to learn to move on from this course onto the next course. So this is, Three of Swords in reverse. So in reverse, you know, this is about moving on from some sort of heartache. And that could be what's going on here. And then our King of Pentacles in reverse is going to be this sense of financial irresponsibility. So that's kind of going with this overspending. So, and I said financial irresponsibility. This is Pentacle irresponsibility. So it comes across that there's this heartache situation that you're needing to move on from. You know, color wise, those are definitely speaking. The Judgment in reverse is related to your Three of Swords in reverse. And this does have a sense of forgiveness that goes along with it. Like, okay, let's just be done. You know, like, I'm forgiving the situation, but let's move on. And so with it coming with Judgment in reverse, it's kind of like you haven't gotten to that point yet in the past. So that's why you continue to loop. That's why you continue to have everything feeling like it's out of balance. And the part about being out of balance is because you're dedicating so much of your resources, your time, your energy, your money into certain situations, but they're not balanced situations. So let's see, what is Pluto retrograde telling you to let go of? Or telling you to, you know, focus on? The Fool in reverse, and then the Hierophant. So the Fool in reverse is about, this one is also about failing to learn from the past and this hesitation to move on, this reluctance to move on and take that leap of faith. So in terms of what needs to be release your reluctance to move on. The Hierophant is about traditional structures. So as this reads, for some of you, you are in a traditional committed situation, like a marriage, and there's this hesitation, or hesitation's too light of a word. There's this reluctance to move on. And it's a situation where you've continued to dump so much of your resources into it that it's almost, and then it almost kind of leads to that greedy place of, wait a second, but I've put so much time, energy, money into this situation. Really? Am I going to not get what I deserve out of it? You know, so it's almost like staying in it for that. Like, that's the message that's kind of coming through, is you've sunk so much time and effort into it that it's like, to walk away feels like a failure, but it also feels like it's an insult that, well, wait a second, but I put this much into it, I should get so much out of it on the way out. And I think that's the, you know, forgiveness and moving on part is, no, I you know, energetically things are so out of balance. Like, you've got to be looking for that balance point. So I think that's going to be the message for some of you. And as always, take only what resonates. If this is not your storyline, then don't try to force this narrative onto it. But that's the message that's coming through here. Let's take a look at some oracle cards, and these are related to what you need to know today versus this storyline is about the Pluto retrograde period, which is for like the next 6 months. This one, it's time to release negativity. And this is exactly what we were talking about in Pluto retrograde. How do you release these negative attachments, these toxic attachments, and kind of let the energy settle and like settle into that new, what is your new norm, and just kind of letting things decompress a little bit. In 20 years, what will you remember? So again, with that story that was coming through of, you know, if this is a marriage that's coming to an end and you're looking at that, well, I've put so much in, what, you know, time, energy, money into the house, into this person, helping this person build up their business, you know, whatever the case may be, instead of fighting, you know, going toe to toe with the person about, well, I want this, which is kind of this like greedy energy. Instead of that, in 20 years from now, you know, what are you going to remember? Are you going to remember, oh, I got an extra, you know, $5,000 out of the person in the divorce, or it went pretty quick, you know? So there is something to be said for how much is your peace of mind worth. And if you're trying to find balance in a situation, what are you doing now that is facilitating bringing that balance sooner versus fueling that hurt, like greedy type of energy? Then there's I think about you all the time, and I'm worried you'll be bored with me. So this is almost like there might be a new storyline emerging for some of you, because this is a love oracle deck, or like messages from your person, because this seems like there's maybe another person in the situation, which sometimes the threes are about third party situations. The I think about you all the time can also be that you're not letting go of some of the past because it's still on your mind, even though it's not going the way that you would expect for it to go. So that is our message today for our fire signs. But as always, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. And I will be getting the videos for the first half of the month out soon. There have been some family emergency issues that have come up, so I'll be getting to those soon. And as always, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.